Hi, this is Cheryl Peterson at Healing Science Today. I'm going to read a Christian Science Bible study from The Message, copyrighted by Eugene Peterson, and from 21st Century Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, a modern version of Mary Baker Eddy's Science and Health, copyrighted by Cheryl Peterson. The action, sex and purification. Intent is from 1 Thessalonians. One final word, friends. We ask you, urge is more like it, that you keep on doing what we told you to do to please God, not in a dogged religious plod, but in a living, spirited dance. You know the guidelines we laid out for you from the Master Jesus. God wants you to live a pure life. Keep yourselves from sexual promiscuity. Learn to appreciate and give dignity to your body, not abusing it, as is so common among those who know nothing of God. John. There once was a man, his name John, sent by God to point out the way to the life light. He came to show everyone where to look, who to believe in. John was not himself the light. He was there to show the way to the light. The life light was the real thing. Every person entering life he brings into light. He was in the world was there through him, and yet the world didn't even notice. He came to his own people, but they didn't want him. But whoever did want him, who believed he was who he claimed and would do what he said, he made to be their true selves, their child of God selves. These are the God-begotten, not blood-begotten, not flesh-begotten, not sex-begotten. The Word became flesh and blood and moved into the neighborhood. We saw the glory with our own eyes, the one-of-a-kind glory, like Father, like Son, generous inside and out, true from start to finish. The very next day, John saw Jesus coming toward him and yelled out, "Here he is, God's Passover lamb. He forgives the sins of the world. This is the man I've been talking about, the one who comes after me but is really ahead of me." 21st Century Science and Health. Christ is the true idea voicing good, the divine message from God to us, speaking to the human consciousness. Union of the masculine and feminine qualities represents, not is, completeness. The qualities regarded as feminine or masculine reach a higher tone through a blending of certain elements such as courage, strength, and empathy. The harmony of spiritual oneness is felt as the differing elements join naturally with each other. All persons, regardless of gender, should be forgiving, chaste, bold, tender, and strong. The attraction between these spiritual qualities will be perpetual only as they are pure and true, being constantly renewed like the returning springtime. The demands of the affections will never be satisfied if you pursue a sexy, rich, or sanctimonious partner. So make sure to engage with wisdom, sincerity, and open-mindedness. Spiritual happiness lasts because it is constantly poured forth from truth and love. Genuine happiness is shared because it can't exist alone. Civil laws are created to implement fairness and equity between the rights of the sexes, but more progress is needed, to say the least. Civilization and science stand strong on the side of justice and encourage the elimination of discrimination. However, every time an effort is made to remedy unfairness, we must make sure that the effort doesn't encourage difficulties of greater magnitude somewhere else. Higher aims and motives, as well as improved mental character, must be considered as the feasible and rational means of progress. Gender is not a quality of God, but a characteristic of human mind. God doesn't have sex organs. Though we reflect the creation of mind, we aren't the original creator. The distinction needs to be clear between God's ideal person and the human's idea of person. God's ideal is perfect. However, there is no perfect mortal human. To achieve the ideal of God, you must be careful not to fall into the human mind's tendency to believe that a particular human routine or lifestyle will guarantee spirituality. To insist on a scrupulous human way of life as a means of achieving perfection doesn't achieve God's ideal. For example, someone who thinks we do not seek sex, we do not try drugs, we do not take medicine, we do not go to doctors, will be disappointed. To avoid sex, drugs, medicine, and doctors is the same as robotically having sex, taking drugs, and going to a doctor. Neither are a means of reaching the spiritual ideal. The imperative point is to understand God's ideal and let the divine understanding impel your thoughts and actions as part of humanity. Our ideal directs our lifestyles, not vice versa. The teachings found in Science and Health uncover spirituality and the understanding of God's ideal. Thought must stay open to metaphysical ideas in science, theology, and medicine. Thought cannot obsess or fixate on lifestyles, symbols, or a favorite rule. Otherwise, people will lose touch with reason and develop a narrow and blurred view of reality. They will make mistakes, errors. Ezekiel. Imagine a person who lives well, treating others fairly, keeping good relationships, doesn't eat at the pagan shrines, doesn't worship the idols so popular in Israel, doesn't seduce a neighbor's spouse, doesn't indulge in casual sex, doesn't bully anyone, doesn't pile up bad debts, doesn't steal, doesn't refuse food to the hungry, doesn't refuse clothing to the ill-clad, doesn't exploit the poor, doesn't live by impulse and greed, doesn't treat one person better than another, but lives by my statutes and faithfully honors and obeys my laws. This person who lives upright and well shall live a full and true life. Decree of God, the Master. 21st Century Science and Health. When Jesus came to John the Baptist for baptism, John was astounded, yet reluctant. Jesus read John's confused thoughts and reassured him with the remark, "Permit it at this time, for in this way it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness." This was a case when Jesus acknowledged certain human ceremonies can serve as suitable means to advance spiritual good. Abstinence from decadent sexual activity leads to an advanced state of intellectual and cultural development in human society, marked by progress in the arts, science, and religion. Without integrity, there is no social stability, and the science of life can't be achieved. It's not complicated. In the last century, our thinking has shifted dramatically from believing life originates sexually or asexually through an egg, bud, or self-division. Biotechnology can now claim that life starts in the laboratory. But should we look at a bud, a cell, or DNA as the starting point of the most complicated bodily structures, including those which we call human life? Unless this question is answered with some metaphysical consideration, physical research will be random and open to vulnerability and death. It's no wonder our theories and experiences will continue to change as programmed human thinking is replaced by spiritual reality. The calm, strong forces of true spirituality are manifest as health, purity, and a magnanimous self. Spiritual mindedness must expand the human experience until the beliefs of temporal being are clearly exposed as impositions. Confusion, danger, and disorder will then give everlasting place to the scientific demonstration of divine spirit and to God's radiant offspring.